Hi everyone, it's Miss Celeste here, and I'm really excited to get into week one, part three here along our journey in ECE 101. I am your instructor for this course, and I'm really excited to get into John Dewey and all his work and efforts that he has brought to education overall. But first, we're just going to take a glance, just reminding us of our assignments and some due dates. I'm hoping a lot of you have started these assignments, and please reach out if you have any questions or need support. Um, Introductions should have been done. Let's go to discussion threads. I hope that you're responding to your peers and having really great dialogue between each of you because this is an online course, so it's really important that we keep the communication open and consistent, and we're just creating that collaboration aspect of talking to our peers. Again, we have our journal blog, and hoping you're having a lot of fun with that, and you're really seeing the focus of, maybe some long-term use of it. It's a great place just to put your, thoughts. Again, the blog can be shared with others or not, so it's just kind of a place for you to write. And I've always thought it was super helpful for me. And then Sunday, we have our assignment that is due, our teaching hours and reflection. I am asking for you to do a reflection every week just so I can better understand what you're learning, what you're seeing, and everything that kind of comes along your journey, because it's really important that I and Hopes can support you and answer questions if you have any. So please reach out if you have questions or you just want to meet one-on-one. I can definitely meet with you. And then live session reflections, that's again extra credit, so you don't need to do that, but it is an option to do. All right, so let's get into week one, course objective 3. So this week, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about John Dewey and his mission and purpose. But my question to you is, have you ever heard of John Dewey? Is this your first time? Any just along your journey, and it's okay if you've never heard of him, because I'm going to share a little bit of insight of who he is, and all the amazing aspects of his focus and how he really wants to encourage how we approach learning for children. So, who is John Dewey? Well, he's probably most famous for his role in what is called the progressive education. And that's essentially a view of education that emphasizes the need to learn by doing. So he was a big believer on focusing on we learn best when we're in the process, when we're doing it, we're engaging in the education, and incorporating our life experiences, kind of thinking as an active process of how we learn best. He also just really wanted to focus on social learning. He really thought schools should represent the social aspect, and children learn best in kind of that natural social environment. So he was a big advocate for encouraging that social aspect. Um, what's so different, I guess, comparing to now, and how our education system is, of course, we have many different philosophies and many choices of what we're either going to teach or put our children in. But it is very different if we're talking about, say, traditional education where they do a lot of testing. John Dewey is far removed from kind of that perspective. He really wanted just a natural process and allowing children to kind of learn at their pace and learn by all their experiences. And that's pretty much how you kind of understand if they're learning the material or not. So a lot of, philosophies nowadays would follow Dewey's, uh, a perspective would be like Montessori, where, they do a lot of incorporating Dewey's theories of letting child, lead their learning and just kind of explore the social aspects, allow children to do more for themselves. And it's not yet a testing type environment, but yet the teacher is more the observer, and you're kind of understanding as a teacher what the children know by your observations, and then kind of knowing when to engage and support, again, but individually. So there are, schools that do continue to follow his theories, but I would say the traditional system would very much move away from what he believed. A little bit about John Dewey. He was born in 1859. He really felt that students should use their prior knowledge and experiences to expand on their new learning concepts. So again, going back to the point of experiences and applying it to the new knowledge is something that he is a big believer in. Um, he really fought for, major educational reform in this country. He stressed, uh, that the reasoning skills, making lesson plans based off of experiences. So really incorporating what's best for the children and even individually for the child. And so lesson plans can, always be changed. And Dewey was a big believer of just kind of catering to what the child's needs versus anything else. He's a strong believer in using social experiences to learn. He wanted children to play an active role in their learning. So, because there's so much involved and they're so much a part of the process, they're learning. And that's the greatness and aha moments that children get to learn more really about themselves and their capabilities. And Dewey was just a big believer of those moments and utilizing those moments as teaching moments. Another is just uh, wanted progressive education in our national system, meaning that schools work to help children grow mentally, physically, and socially. And again, he's all about the whole child and just really wanting to grasp their learning by similarities of their experiences and kind of incorporating it all um, so they can better understand what's being taught. Because, as we all know, when we are learning any new concepts or anyone new, it's just really comforting to maybe blend something that we um, know, something about, and then blending it with something new. It just has more of a calming sense when some new concepts can be a bit overwhelming, or because we all learn different, and that's okay. But again, he was just a big believer in that. Another great way that he approached a reflection um, in the process of how, uh, just kind of his process of how he felt inquiry based learning was, is kind of through these different steps. So, right at the top, we have planning. So, he really wanted to identify a topic area, identify possible information sources. He just really wanted to spend a lot of time identifying, the audience and what's the best information to kind of set up to then approach that plan. And then retrieving uh, would be like step two. So developing information, locate and collect resources. So finding information and reflecting on it. Review and revise is always part of the journey, because, as things are changing, or, new discoveries are being had, it's just, we always have to review and revise. And I couldn't stress that enough when we're in the classroom, right? And we're, have a group of new children, or say you're in an environment where you have children, come in all year long. It's important that you really like review and revise your um, daily lessons, or even lesson plan overall, different focuses on the curriculum if you're able to have that flexibility with your school. Because again, we all it's all different, but I just really like to focus on what the child's needs are versus what our plan is for each day, because it can change, and that's okay. Moving to the process. So that's, establishing a focus and recording information, making connections, and again, review and revise. Then moving to creating. So organizing the information, creating now what is the product, and think about the audience. Because again, every approach can be different, and how we deliver that information is really important. Sharing would be the next step, communicating with uh, the audience, presenting new understandings, and then evaluating again, trying to see if the process is working, review and revise. And that's just kind of an ongoing thing that we should all be doing in the classroom, because needs do change as children grow. So just being mindful of that. Teaching the whole child through John Dewey. So Dewey did not only create ways we approach learning, but more so how children will function in the real world. And I'm a strong believer that when we build strong, confident, competent learners, they're able to have such a journey and fun in learning, have a love for learning throughout their life. Learning should engage and expand their experiences as learners. Education is a social process that Dewey really believed. And Dewey also thought that schools should be viewed as an extension of society, and students should play an active role in it, and working, together to kind of accomplish their goals and learn new ideas, because that's all part of the process. And when children are so involved in it, there's so much discovery that happens. Students learn by doing, as I mentioned before, and should be allowed to be creative and kind of make decisions and see new ideas kind of through their eyes, and let them share. Again, being part of the process. So he's a big believer in having children a part of the process. Some fun facts. He got his PhD in 1884. Uh, in 1894, he moved on to the University of Chicago, and that's where he established his famous laboratory school. So that is where he got to experiment and utilize all his learning approaches, and had so much fun doing it. Um, Fun fact that Dewey did agree with Montessori and Piaget that children learn by doing, and that a teacher's role is to encourage children to experiment and explore and be independent, so their thoughts are just so creative, and their own thoughts, really. Not something that is created by someone else, but yet really through those different processes, finding um, the bigger picture or the understanding of something that they're learning, and just having their own independent thought and letting them figure it out. And in order to do that, children have to be able to go through the process, right? So that's really important. Lastly, I just want to say thank you for your time today. Again, we did talk about John Dewey. If you have any other questions and you want to learn more about him, I'll be so excited to meet with you. And our next stop would be part 4 of week 1. So I did just want to remind you that your reflections are due Sunday for extra credit, along with all the additional um, assignments and your hours as well, and reflection. So please reach out if you have any questions, but I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, see you later. Bye.